They told you Anubis was the god of death, a dark figure with a jackal's head, a grim judge waiting in the shadows to condemn your soul. They painted him as a specter of fear, the ancient world's grim reaper, a symbol of the terrifying end that awaits us all. But that is the lie. A lie carefully crafted to make you fear the most natural passage in existence. A lie designed to strip you of your power and hand it to institutions that profit from your terror. The truth is, Anubis was never the god of death. He was the guardian of the dead, the gentle guide of souls, the opener of the way. He wasn't a figure to be feared. He was a presence to be revered, a compassionate force who doesn't judge you, but helps you judge yourself. This is not a story about the afterlife. This is a story about the truth of who you are, how you live, and what it means to walk with integrity through a world built on illusion. And if you're here, it's because a part of your soul is ready to stop fearing the darkness and finally meet the guide who has been waiting patiently within it all along. Long before the world was taught to fear death, the ancients of Kemet understood it as a sacred transition, a journey, not an end. And Anubis, or Anpu as they knew him, was the master of that journey. He was not the force that took life. He was the force that guided it through the veil. He was the first to greet the soul at the threshold, offering not condemnation, but clarity. His presence was a comfort, a sign that you were not alone in the great mystery. The imagery of the jackal was not chosen to inspire fear. The jackal is a creature of the twilight, a scavenger that moves between the world of the living and the world of the dead. It sees with perfect clarity in the dusk, in the in-between spaces where light and shadow meet. The jackal represents the ability to see through all illusion, to find the path when it is darkest. Anubis embodies this principle. He is the ultimate psychopomp, the guide who knows the hidden paths of the soul because he sees beyond the surfaces that distract the living. But the systems of control that rose to power could not tolerate such a compassionate, empowering vision of death. A population that does not fear the end is a population that cannot be easily controlled in life. They needed a weapon, and so they invented one. The fear of eternal punishment. The sacred passage was turned into a final judgment. The gentle guide was rebranded as a menacing arbiter of sin. The cycle of rebirth was replaced with the binary threat of heaven or hell. And Anubis, the opener of the way, was slowly erased, his image distorted, his role given to other, more terrifying figures. They buried the truth because a world terrified of death is a world that will cling to any authority that promises salvation. They sold you fear and called it faith. They took your guide and called him a demon, and you were left alone, taught to dread the one journey every soul must take. But the truth was never lost. It was encoded, hidden in plain sight, waiting for those who are brave enough to look past the fear. Because Anubis is not just a figure from ancient Egypt. He is a principle, a cosmic law. He is the immutable force of integrity that exists within you right now. He is the part of your consciousness that knows truth from illusion, the silent witness that observes your choices, your intentions, your heart. You don't meet Anubis when you die. You meet him every time you choose honesty over deception, courage over cowardice, love over fear. He is the guardian of the scales within your own soul. And the weighing of your heart isn't a future event. It's happening in every moment of your life. This is the secret they tried to bury. Death is not a judgment. Life is. And Anubis is not the judge. He is the mirror reflecting the truth you have chosen to live. Some truths about the soul's journey are too profound to share on a platform built for distraction. If you're ready to go deeper, to understand what truly lies beyond the veil, join our free newsletter, Insights Academy. The link is in the description. For a limited time, you'll also get a free copy of the Kybalion, a key to the hidden laws of the universe. The weighing of the heart. The very phrase conjures images of a divine courtroom, a final, terrifying judgment where your soul's fate hangs in the balance. This is the version you were meant to believe. A vision of fear where you stand powerless before a God who will decide if you are worthy. But the truth, the real truth hidden in the ancient texts, is far more profound and infinitely more empowering. The Hall of Truth, where this ritual takes place, was never a courtroom. It was a chamber of self-realization, and Anubis was not the prosecutor. He was the facilitator of your ultimate moment of self-discovery. Imagine standing at the threshold, the life you just lived still echoing in your being. Anubis, the silent, steady guide, leads you to a golden scale. In one dish, he places the feather of Ma'at. This feather is not a symbol of impossible purity. It doesn't represent sinlessness. It represents Ma'at, the cosmic principle of truth, balance, order, and harmony. It is the frequency of reality itself. In the other dish, Anubis gently places your heart, your ib, the seat of your consciousness, the record of your intentions, the vessel of every choice you ever made. And here, in the stillness, the weighing begins. But it is not Anubis who judges. It is you. In that moment, beyond the veil of ego and self-deception, you see your life with perfect clarity. You feel the weight of every lie you told, every act of cruelty, every moment you chose fear over love. You also feel the lightness of every act of kindness, every moment of courage, every time you lived in alignment with your soul's truth. There is no hiding, there is no argument, there is only the raw, undeniable truth of your own heart weighed against the pure frequency of cosmic truth. Anubis simply holds the space. He ensures the process is fair. His presence is one of absolute neutrality, of deep compassion. He is there to make sure you see yourself clearly, without the distortions of guilt or pride. He is the mirror in which your soul finally meets itself. And what of Ammit, the devourer of souls? The monstrous creature said to destroy the hearts that are heavier than the feather. She too has been twisted into a symbol of eternal damnation. But Ammit was never about hell. She was a symbol of cosmic recycling. If a heart was heavy, burdened by the weight of unresolved karma, of a life lived out of alignment, it was not condemned. It was consumed by Ammit to be broken down, purified, and sent back into the cycle of reincarnation. To be given another chance to learn, to grow, to remember. This wasn't punishment, it was mercy. It was the universe's way of ensuring that no soul is ever truly lost, only given the lessons it needs until it learns to live in truth. The real terror was never that your heart would be devoured. The real tragedy is living an entire life so heavy that you have to come back and do it all over again. This ancient ritual is not just a story about the afterlife. It is a living map for your life now. Every day you are placing your heart on the scales. Every choice you make either adds weight or adds lightness. When you act out of integrity, when you speak your truth, when you choose compassion, your heart becomes lighter, more attuned to the frequency of Ma'at. When you deceive, when you betray your own knowing, when you act from ego and fear, your heart grows heavier. The final weighing is simply the sum total of all the small weighings you perform every single day. Anubis is not a distant god you will meet in the future. He is the principle of integrity whispering to you now. He is the quiet voice that asks, is this true? Is this aligned? Is this worthy of the divine spark you carry? And the purpose of life is not to avoid judgment at the end, but to learn to live in such a way that the final weighing becomes a formality. To live with a heart so light, so true, that when it is placed on the scale, it floats as effortlessly as the feather of truth itself. That is not a path of fear. That is the path of sovereignty. You've been taught to think of Anubis as a force you only encounter at the end of life, a distant guide to a distant realm. But his presence is not confined to the afterlife. He is the guardian of all thresholds, the keeper of the veils between worlds. And those worlds are not just outside of you, they are within you. Anubis is the master of the in-between, the silent space between your conscious and subconscious mind, the twilight zone between your waking self and your shadow self. He is the force that guides you not just through death, but through transformation. And every time you dare to face the parts of yourself you've hidden away, you are walking with him. The real underworld is not a place you go when you die. It is the landscape of your own unexamined psyche, the fears, traumas, and secrets you have buried deep within. This is your personal duat, and to navigate it, you need a guide who can see in the dark. That guide is Anubis. He is the principle of shadow work, the alchemical force that helps you transmute your deepest pain into your greatest wisdom. Think about it. The jackal's power is its ability to see in the dim light, to thrive at the edges of the known world. When you choose to do shadow work, to sit with your discomfort, to question your programming, you are invoking the jackal's sight. You are asking Anubis to help you see what is hidden. He doesn't remove the darkness. He illuminates the path through it. He helps you find the lost fragments of your soul that you abandoned in moments of pain or shame. He guides you back to wholeness. This is why so many people avoid inner work. It feels like a descent. It is. But as the ancients knew, descent is the first stage of ascension. You cannot rise into the light until you have integrated your darkness. Anubis is not a force of punishment. He is a force of integration. He presides over the process of embalming, mummification, the sacred art of preserving the body so the soul can transition. This is not just a physical act. It is a spiritual metaphor. To be embalmed by Anubis is to have your inner chaos brought into order, to have your fragmented parts unified, to be made whole and coherent so that you can withstand the journey through higher states of consciousness. You can feel his presence in your life now. That nagging feeling that you are not living in your full truth, that's the call of Anubis. That sudden moment of clarity when you see through a lie, your own or someone else's, that's the gift of his sight. The deep urge to shed an old identity, to let a part of you die so a new part can be born, that is his guidance. He is the ultimate spiritual boundary keeper. He helps you discern what is true for you and what is an illusion you've inherited. He is the force that compels you toward radical integrity. And living in integrity is a constant process of weighing your own heart. You don't have to wait for death to ask, am I aligned? You can ask it now, in this moment, with this choice. The more you live in truth, the more you embody the Anubis principle. Your life becomes a testament to Ma'at. You no longer fear the shadows because you've learned to walk with the one who rules them. You are not afraid of the truth because you have chosen to live it. This is the real power Anubis offers. Not a promise of a pleasant afterlife, but the tools to create a life of profound meaning, depth, and unwavering integrity, right here, right now. He is not the end of the path. He is the path itself. If Anubis represents such a profound, empowering understanding of life, death, and integrity, why was he erased? Why was this compassionate guide to the soul replaced by narratives of fear, judgment, and eternal damnation? The answer is simple and brutal. Control, a spiritual system built on compassion, self-reflection, and cyclical rebirth, does not create an obedient population. It creates sovereign individuals. And sovereignty is the greatest threat to any institution that seeks to wield power over the masses. The weaponization of death is one of the most effective control mechanisms in human history. To do it, the nuanced, sacred vision of the Egyptian afterlife had to be dismantled and replaced with something far more primitive and terrifying. The rising religious and political powers of the post-Egyptian world, particularly the Roman Empire and the burgeoning Orthodox Church, understood this perfectly. They needed a population that feared God, feared death, and most importantly, feared the institution that claimed to be the sole gatekeeper to salvation. Anubis had to go. The first step was the invention of hell. The ancient Egyptian concept of the underworld was a place of transformation, not eternal punishment. A soul with a heavy heart was not sent to burn for eternity, it was sent back to learn again. This cyclical understanding fosters responsibility, not fear. But a system of control requires fear. So, the concept of a final, irreversible judgment and the terror of hell was created. Now, death was not a transition to be navigated with a guide. It was a terrifying precipice from which you could fall into endless agony. Your entire life became a tightrope walk of obedience, with the church holding the only safety net. Next, Anubis himself was demonized. The sacred guide, the jackal who could see in the dark, was rebranded. His features and domain, the underworld, the shadows, the judgment of souls, were slowly merged into later depictions of demons, devils, and malevolent underworld entities. The compassionate guide became a monster. The opener of the way became the gatekeeper of a place of torment. This psychological operation was a masterstroke. It severed humanity's connection to one of its most ancient and comforting allies, leaving souls to face the great mystery alone and terrified. Finally, this led to the loss of what can be called a death-positive culture. The ancients of Kemet lived with death. It was a visible, integrated part of their society. They prepared for it, they honored it, they understood it. This acceptance allowed them to live more fully without the paralyzing anxiety that haunts the modern world. But the new systems of control fostered a culture of death denial. Death became a taboo, a failure, a medical event to be sanitized and hidden away. We are now a civilization that is terrified of the one certainty in life. And that fear is a poison. It makes us cling to the superficial, avoid deep questions, and live in a state of quiet desperation, always running from the one thing we can never escape. This was the ultimate victory for the systems of control. They didn't just suppress a god. They suppressed a fundamental human wisdom. They took away your guide, they took away the map, and they left you convinced that you were lost in the dark. But the memory was never fully erased. It went underground, into the esoteric traditions, into the symbols of alchemy, into the quiet knowing of those who never stopped seeking. And now, as the old structures of fear begin to crumble, that memory is resurfacing. People are tired of being afraid. They are starting to question the narratives they were sold. They are instinctively drawn back to the older, wiser ways of understanding. The return of interest in Anubis is not a fascination with mythology. It is a soul-level calling. It is the collective human spirit remembering that death was never the enemy. and that in the heart of the darkness there has always been a guide, waiting patiently for us to reclaim our courage and ask him to show us the way. Why now? Why, after centuries of suppression and distortion, is the presence of Anubis being felt again so strongly? Because the world is at a threshold. Humanity is undergoing its own collective weighing of the heart. The illusions are becoming transparent, the systems of control are revealing their own emptiness, and souls are stirring from a long, programmed slumber. The return of Anubis to the collective consciousness is not a trend. It is a sign that we are ready to face the truths we have long avoided. You are a part of that awakening. The fact that you are drawn to this knowledge, that something in the story of the jackal-headed guide resonates deep within you, is not an accident. It is soul memory. A quiet echo from lifetimes where you knew this truth, where you walked with this guide, where you understood that death was not an end. This remembrance is showing up in your life now, even if you haven't recognized it. It's in the growing desire for radical honesty with yourself and with others. It's in the pull to do your shadow work, to finally face the traumas and secrets you've kept locked away. It's in the sudden, piercing moments of clarity where you see through deception as if it were glass. That is the sight of Anubis working through you. When you start to live a life of uncompromising integrity, when you refuse to say things you don't mean, or do things that feel out of alignment, you are embodying the Anubis principle. You are making your life a ceremony of ma'at. You are choosing to lighten your own heart, moment by moment. And here is the ultimate revelation, the truth that shatters all external systems of control. Anubis is a mirror. He was never an external judge holding power over you. He is a reflection of the part of you that is incorruptible, the divine witness within. He doesn't hold the scales to determine your worth. He holds them up to show you the worth you have chosen for yourself. The power was never his. It was always yours. He is simply the guide who reminds you how to use it. So, how do you walk with him now? You stop running from your own truth. You listen to the quiet voice of your intuition, especially when it's uncomfortable. You take responsibility for the weight of your own heart and begin the sacred work of lightening it. You face your shadows not with fear, but with the curiosity of an explorer mapping a hidden land. You practice integrity as if it were a sacred art, because it is. You are your own judge. You are your own guide. Anubis is not a destination you reach after death. He is the path you choose to walk in life. A path of clarity, courage, and unshakable truth. Live in such a way that when you do finally stand at the great threshold, the meeting is not one of fear, but of recognition. A reunion with an old friend who has been walking beside you all along. The journey doesn't end here. Understanding the guide is only the first step. To truly know what lies beyond, to explore the deeper mysteries of the soul's passage, requires a different kind of knowledge. If you're ready for that, join our newsletter, Insights Academy. We uncover the truths that cannot be spoken here, and for a limited time, you'll receive a free copy of the Kybalion to guide your way. The door is open. Anubis is waiting. Will you walk through? If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting. I understood it.